Hare Krishna, everyone, and welcome to our weekly Bhagavad Gita class. This is conducted on Zoom. Currently, we started it about a couple of years back, and we continued using Zoom so that all of you can participate from various parts of our country and continue without worrying about the distances. We can continue to release Krishna consciousness and progress in Krishna consciousness, all of us together. So, topic for today's discussion is transmigration. Transmigration, in short, means giving up one body and taking up new body, and giving up one old useless body and taking up a new, fresh, suitable body that is given to us. Dehinosmin yatha dehe kaumaram yauvanam jara tatha dehantara praptir dhiras tatra damayati. This is the dehantara. Transmigration is called, also can be referred to as the dehantara, that changing a deha. Deha is body, and we know that it can go in all directions. That one human is quitting his body need not necessarily get human body; he can get any body. So we'll discuss a little bit this theme a little bit more in detail, and we will understand कि भगवान कृष्ण इसके बारे में क्या बोलते हैं. Bhagavad Gita is the only place where it is absolutely clearly mentioned this whole process, this whole event of transmigration, Dehantara. And very authoritatively Krishna explains, because all this is designed by him, it's created by him, it's maintained by him, and he knows everything about it. So he's only qualified person to speak about this aspect with authority, and this is what he does in the section of verses that we will look at today. Before we go there, we'll do a quick recap of what we have been discussing. We discussed in 13th chapter, which is the Jnana section that started of Bhagavad Gita, where how Jnani can progress and ultimately come to bhakti. This is the theme of verses in all the verses in the chapter starting from 13th and ending at 18. So a Jnani ultimately has to take up to the process of hearing, and we see on the left hand side picture of Sukadev Goswami narrating Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, and all other sages, great sages, are listening in the assembly. So he's narrating Bhagavatam. So this is hearing, Shrunu, process of hearing. And once we hear knowledge from authority, from scriptures, then we have to put that knowledge into action. We have to put things into action. We have to act on our knowledge. We can't just keep with our knowledge and do nothing. Then it's of use. So acting in the knowledge, also the process is Bhakti Yoga. Even that is defined in Bhagavad Gita and also explained in detail in Bhagavatam. So Bhagavad Gita gives the principles, Bhagavatam give case studies of those principles applied in real life by various devotees of the Lord, and how they benefited, how their life became perfect, and how ultimately they got the ultimate benefit, that they got Krishna Prem and they got Krishna Loka. They were transferred to Krishna Loka. So this is the success of one's life. If one has to define success, this is the success, that if they can attain Krishna Prem and ultimately go back to Krishna, then that is you made your life successful. And also that is proper use of human form of life, because this facility per se is available only in the human form. No other form of life are suitable for cultivating spiritual knowledge, practicing spirit according to that knowledge, and attaining liberation. All the three cannot be done in any of the other bodies. Very difficult. So this is what chapter 13 recommends ultimately. Chapter 14 talks about modes of material nature, and we've discussed this theme of how modes interplay with each other. What are these modes? Gunas, जिसको संस्कृत में बोला जाता है कि सत्व गुणा, रजोगुणा, तमोगुणा, or mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. What are these gunas? How they act? How they force a person? Does everybody has those gunas? Yes. How they act through our mind. They act through impulses given to our mind to act in a particular way in given situation. And are they static? No, they are dynamic. They keep moving. And these are the characteristics of these gunas. And these are the characteristics of, this is what people under the influence of these gunas will do. And they will experience, they will feel. And so that's why it's very important for us to understand, getting proper understanding of ourself is incomplete without understanding of these gunas. Otherwise we'll keep wondering what's happening with us, if we don't have proper knowledge of gunas. So gunas, sattva guni person will be happy, he will be knowledgeable, he will feel superior than others. Rajoguni person will be busy, always has to do this, do that, come here, go there, always in action. And Tamoguni person will be sleeping. You'll have to wake him up and he will say, let me sleep more. And he will wake up to eat and then again go back to sleep. In the Sattva Guna, there is a contemplation of mind, and then there is a decisive action, there is a concrete action. So there is a reflection and then action. In Rajoguna, there is no reflection, there is only action. People are just running, running, running. In Tamoguna, there is neither reflection nor action. You act only when you are forced to act. So it's a very abominable, it's very close to animal species, where you only act instinctively. Just there's no plan, there is no contemplation, there's no thinking. That very, whatever is there, it's very little, but that is highest in the Sattva. Sattva person, the definition of success for, if I am predominantly in Sattva, what I will consider as a success of my life, or I will look for these qualities in other people, are good character, knowledgeable person, realizations, sense control, shamo damo, mind control, freedom from sinful actions, not indulging into your four following four regulatory principles can be this, can come in this. So that's why if person is free from sin relatively, he can be happy. Rajoguni person, the definition of success as given by our Vinod Prabhu is, and we adapted it perfectly, it fits this definition, is improve the, all our endeavor of life is improve the quality of eating, mating, sleeping, defending, nothing more. They neither value left hand side or right hand side. They don't want to rest because they want to act. They don't value good character or all these things, because they said, I want to attain this, this is my goal, I don't care how I attain it, by hook or by crook is what they may say. And that's why they are always busy. They don't, this is their value, their definition of success is, if I can attain something tangibly at the end of my life, and if I've improved from what I was at the beginning, then my life is successful. Tamoguni person really does not care about success. If as long as he gets to eat and to sleep, he's happy. Shuddha Sattva is another mode we introduced, and that is the first column, second column rather, in the table, and where the whole focus is on Krishna, where a person is attached to Krishna. Person wants to live life to give pleasure to Krishna, to come closer to Krishna. It is dependent, he's dependent on Krishna. So all actions that he performed by keeping Krishna at the center. And for the pleasure of Krishna, he doesn't want to do anything which Krishna has against the instructions given by Krishna. So he wants to make Krishna happy, then he has to follow his instructions also. So this person is acting according to the instructions given by Bhagavad Gita. He will follow four regulative principles. He will offer bhoga before eating. He will lead a Krishna conscious life. He will attend Mangalarti. He will perform Dham Yatra. He will do deity worship. He will call devotees, feed them with prasad, and he will do everything that will make devotees of Krishna and Krishna happy. There is no bondage, because this person is doing nothing for himself. At this, while doing everything identical to other three people in the other three modes, his actions are not producing results, because he's having Krishna at the center of all his activities, and therefore he does not, his all actions that he's performing are a karma. They are not karma. which is neither good karma, bad karma, but a karma, which does not yield any results. It does not yield any fruit. What is their definition of success? How much attached you are becoming to Krishna, how much dependent you are on Krishna for success, how much. So after putting in effort, how much you feel dependent on Krishna, that if Krishna willing, he will give me success. If Krishna is not willing, he may give me failure, and I will accept it, I'll improve. And how much sacrifice they are able to perform for Krishna. Sacrifice doesn't only mean fasting Ekadashi, but giving up things which are dear to you. You may be watching, you may be addicted to watching movies, but they are harmful for cultivating and developing in Krishna consciousness. One should be prepared to give up those habits as well. One could be have fond of watching cricket, but if that is not going to help you, that is going to waste a lot of your time, which otherwise can invest in 9 processes of devotional service. Then this person will be willing to give up those things for the pleasure of Krishna, for the sake of, because those things will create a distraction in the mind. They will occupy a bigger space than Krishna in our mind, and eventually they will, they will remove Krishna from the mind, and that has a danger. Then our life can be in a very dangerous situation. so so this is the mode, and this is how people act in the mode. We looked at a few verses. We'll just quickly revise them. We'll not really go through them. Um, we will not discuss them per se, but these are some of the beautiful verses of 15th chapter which we have studied up till now. And it starts with upside down conception of a tree that Krishna is speaking. It's a metaphor. Metaphor means it's not an actual tree, but that Krishna is speaking about. But it's a it's a metaphor given to explain some concept, and that we'll come to know that what that concept is. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhva Moolam Adhashakam Ashwatham Prahura Avyayam Chandansi Yasya Parnani Yastam Veda Sa Vedavit. अगर किसी को वेदविद बनना है, वेदविद means knower of Vedas, किसी को बनना है, then that person has to know not only the Vedic hymns, that is verses which are written in the Vedas or ruchas as they are called as, but he has to know the entire tree. Why? Because the verses are only small part of the entire tree. Verses of Vedas or ruchas are considered to be the, Krishna is saying those are the leaves, parnani. Chandansi yasya parnani. Parna is leaves. The leaves of the tree are those verses. Now, knowing verses doesn't mean you know Veda. If you want to know Veda, you want to know the whole tree. And this whole tree is very complicated. Why? Because it has its roots going upwards and branches coming downwards. And it is imperishable tree. So this is the concept Krishna introduces. This concept talks about material existence, and as we perceive, as the soul, when the soul has taken a body and is operating, functioning in this material world, this is how he find this world to be. Everything is upside down in this world. Everything you want something, you get something opposite, and that's why you are always frustrated as a human, as a soul. You are always frustrated, and you're not never happy. You don't feel happy ever in this while functioning in this world. So this is the material existence, and why this is reflection. Then we'll move forward quickly. Yeah, this is the reflection. This is what we want, that is there on the left hand side. What we get is on the right hand side. In short, we want to experience eternity. We want to experience eternity. We don't want to die. Why? Because why soul has this desire? Because soul actually is eternal. Soul, nothing, while nothing in this material world is eternal, a soul does not want to die. Why? Because soul actually is eternal, and soul has not forgotten its quality, that it is eternal, that soul is indeed eternal. Soul, but it's like a person watching movie in a theater experience pain when he watch his favorite character dying on the screen. Now this person has not dying. This person is not dying. He's perfectly all right, sitting in an air conditioned team in an air conditioned theater with his friends and family, maybe having something to eat, maybe a samosa, holding a samosa in his hand, but he's crying seeing his favorite character leaving his body on the screen. Now this is what happens to the soul, because a soul for no reason is experiencing pain. A soul knows he cannot die, and that's what shock a soul when body is when he's thrown out of one body and put it into another body. And this is what transmigration, that's what we are going to discuss it in detail today. So the sat, or the eternity, is a characteristic, basic characteristics of soul, basic characteristic of soul. But what we experience is temporary existence, because soul never wants to leave a body, because for soul living body is foreign concept, because soul is actually eternal. But when it's forced to pull out, he's forcibly pulled out of one body and thrown into uh, another body, forced to accept another body, he experienced trauma. Now that's the event that we call death is. Soul has soul, chit is a potency of another characteristic of soul, that soul wants to know, soul wants to inquire, soul just does not want, soul seek knowledge. Seeking knowledge is a quality of soul, characteristic of soul. Whereas what we get is a gyan, or lack of spiritual knowledge, because the knowledge which soul is seeking is for its ultimate bliss, how I can attain my bliss, because bliss is something that soul is also looking for. And soul gets bliss by serving Krishna. And the knowledge that we get in the material world is everything other than this. Other than this, everything that we get, how to make rockets, we get that knowledge. How to build larger, taller buildings, we get that knowledge. How to flies in a with more speed, that we get knowledge. How our TV set can be designed better, how sophisticated it can become more, how more sophisticated in my television can become, we get that knowledge. How precise or how beautiful my handphone can become, we get that knowledge. So all kind of knowledge exists in the world, which keeps me bound in the world. But soul is seeking knowledge for bliss, because when that's not, this knowledge is not leading soul to any blissful situation. So bliss is another thing. Third characteristic of soul is a bliss. Soul wants to be happy, but what he gets in the material world is suffering and lamentation. So as long as you keep looking at reflection, you will never be able to see the original object. And to see original object, one has to turn your back to the reflection and look at the original object. One can't, one has to take his eyes off the reflection, so that he can search and find original object. So that so we have to, so we've been here, we've been so so all this has started because we wanted to enjoy independently of Krishna, and that's why we ended up coming to the reflection. We left the original and we came to the reflection. Further, Krishna says, adhoshcha urdhvam prasuta tasya shakha guna pravruddha vishaya pravalaha adhascha mulan anusantatani कर्मानुबंधिनी मनुष्य लोके. कर्मानुबंधिनी मनुष्य लोके. मनुष्य लोके, or this Martya Loke, Manushya Loke, this place of Bhuloka is Manushya Loka, where Karma Bandha, Karmanubandhini, where the Manushas are bound by karma, by their karma, they get bound, which means doesn't the other species of life, which is the animal life and the upper planet and lower planetary system, even though they are part of this Bhuloka, overall 14 planetary systems, they're the karma bandha, which is extremely prominent, extremely powerfully applied for Manusha, is not equally applied to other lokas. For example, demigods like Indra or other demigods, even they they apparently does not, even even if they perform some ghastly, some very very abominable activity, even they get cursed, and then they are forced to face consequences of the same, like Indra getting cursed and becoming pig on the planet Earth. That's an example. But in general, their freedom is larger than what we experience. The freedom of activities with which they can perform, which they can perform in those other lokas, is greater, far greater than what we experience in the Manushya Loka. In Manushya Loka, in Kali Yuga, even thinking before Kali Yuga, Dwapar and the other previous three yugas, thinking of something adharmic also could incur sin. In Kali Yuga, that facility we have, that by thinking we don't incur sin. We actually have to act on it in order to become sinful. But a dharmic kriya we can perform in our mind, and we can get some small credit for the same as well. But even thinking could by a human can become sinful. Just for now. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So this is Karmanu Bandhini Manushya Loke, and Adharsha Urdhva Prasuta Tasya Shakha. Though the branches are going upwards and downwards. Why? Because humans or the soul can also go upward and downward in any direction within the 84 lakh species of life. That's why it's very important to know how we should act, how we should behave, conduct our life as. That's why Manushya Loka or Durlabha Manusha Janama is considered to be very, very rare and very, very valuable. We have got it, and we should not mess with it. We should not misuse it. And we'll see that later. Further, Krishna says, "Na rupam asyeha tathopalabhyate, na anto na cha adir na cha sampratishtha, na anto na cha adi." Na anto is end, adi is beginning. There is no end. There is no beginning of this tree. Ashwatthamenam subirudha moolam. The moola is extremely strong. The moola are the desires to enjoy. Those are extremely strong, deeply rooted. It's not easy to pull them out. There's a small shrub which you can pull out easily, but these are like banyan trees that have gone extremely deep. They can, and that's why it becomes very difficult to uproot them. So our desire to enjoy have been cultivated for millions and millions of lifetime. So it's not easy by doing some chanting of 6 months, 1 year, we will be able to get rid of all those all those desires that we have cultivated over millions of lifetimes. We can, but it can become really challenging. So we may have to endeavor harder. How? Asanga shastrena dridena chitva. There is a shastra that you have to use, and then chitwa, you have to cut down on those attachments. Asang, by the weapon of detachment. Using the weapon of detachment, you cut down all those attachments. Then what you do? Tata patam tat parimargatavyam yasmin gatana nivartanti bhuyaha. Having gone to a place from where na nivartanti, you don't have to come back. And then after achieving such place, what do you do? Tameva chadyam purusham prapadye yatah pravruti prasuta purani. Find out that person. Find out that person from whom the whole pravruti has got prasuta. Prasuta is got delivered, or has created this whole prakriti. And such a purani is such a purana purusha, old purusha who was there when there was nothing. That one person was there, and from whom everything has been created, everything has been given a prasuti. And you have to go find that person, and you have to surrender to that person. Tameva chadyam purusham prapadde. Such a purusha, he's a person, and he's a purana purusha. He's a very, very old Purusha, and he existed when there was nothing. Before everyone else, he existed. From whom everything has been created, who has created everything. And when you find that person, you go and surrender. And Krishna has said that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate. So he's already revealed it in the earlier verses, but for a Gyani he is going to recreate the theme and again explain how he is the one who has to be worship. This Purana Purusha is he himself, but he's not revealing. He's referring to him as a third person in this particular verse. Later, he will reveal that he is that Purana Purusha and he is to be surrendered to. We have to surrender to him. Fifth verse, Nirmana Moha, Jita Sangha Dosha, Adhyatma Nitya, Vinivritta Kamaha, Dvandair Muktaha, Sukha Dukha Sangye, सद्ये गच्छन्त मूढ़ाः पदम अव्ययम तत् निर्माण निर्माण is one who is not desiring mana. Mana is prestige or respect. Amanina mana dena kirtaniya sadahari. Amanina, this is nirmana. It's similar concept that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that if one has to, what is the effect of chanting? Well, who can chant Kirtaniya Sadahari? Who can do this? The one who is uh, Tarorupi Sahishna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. So one who is tolerant than a tree. One who is tolerant than a tree, that kind of a person can and who is ready to give respect to everyone and without expecting any respect from anyone. When such a person can be in that state of mind, such person can chant Krishna's name constantly. So here Krishna is saying similar qualifications he's explaining, starting with Nirmana Moha, who has win over the lust. Vinivritta, Nivrutta is retired. One is retired from job at the age of 60. So this is retirement from Kama, or it is also called Pratyahara, giving up, willingly giving up the sense enjoyments. Now, such a person, these are can be able to surrender to Krishna. It's not easy. Now, what is the result that one has to attain by surrender is, and what is the this process, this Purana Purusha, what is special about him, where the place, we spoken about the Purusha speaker, spoken about the place where you go from where you don't have to come back. Then Yasmin Gatana Nivartanti Bhuyaha. Such a place where having gone there, you don't come back. Now, what is the specialty of that place? Who that place belongs to is what will be spoken by Krishna in the current verse. Natad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Natad bhasayate suryo, that supreme abode of mine is not illuminated by the sun or moon, nor by fire or electricity. Those who reach it will never return to this material world. Yad gatva na nivartante. Tad dhama paramam mama. Mama is, for the first time Krishna is bringing himself into the discussion that dhama actually belongs to me. Now, Krishna has already spoken about similar theme in the 8th chapter, 8.20 and 21, where Krishna is speaking that Krishna, that is a place where Krishna has spoken elaborately on how to attain himself, how to attain Krishna. That entire chapter is attaining the transcendental, the transcendence. The how to attain Krishna is being explained in that chapter. Starting from the 5th verse of 8th chapter, where Krishna says that अंतकाले च माम एव स्मरण मुक्त्वा कलेवरम यत प्रयाति समद्भाव yanti nastyatra samshayaha. So Krishna start this by speaking about this concept that you have to give up, while giving up your body, you will have to remember me. And if you could do that, then you will not have to come back again back into this material world. Antakalecha mam eva smaran muktva kalevaram. So at the time of giving up your body, you have to remember me alone. Now, Krishna says in the next verse that yam yam vapi smaran bhava tyatyantat ante kalevaram. So whatever the bhava, that you will remember that time at the moment of your death, at the moment of giving up your body, kalevaram, that mood you will attain without any doubt. And then what then Krishna says, to cultivate my remembrance at the moment of death, you have to cultivate that throughout your lifetime. So he said, tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha mayar pita manobuddhi mame vaishyasya samshayaha. That uh, while during your lifetime you'll act for your body maintenance, you will act for the maintaining your family, you will act for the purpose of society, you will act for various reasons, and also act for worshipping me. So wherever whatever you are doing throughout your life, you do all your duties at your family level, at your spiritual level, at spiritual duties, family duties, national duties, social duties, um, whatever duties, various duties that you are bound today, perform those duties by keeping me at the center. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. By remembering me, perform your prescribed duties. And for that, you have to dedicate your mind and intelligence unto me. Invest your mind and intelligence unto me. And then you will remember me even while performing your duties. 14th verse, Krishna further says that अनन्य चेतः सततं यो मां स्मरति नित्यशः तस्याहं सुलभ पार्थ nitya yuktasya yogina. They had bhakti process is not very difficult. I'm explaining you, but it's very easy process, and you can easily attain me. This is the easiest process. As long as you are able to remember me, Ananya Cheta, without deviation, Yomam Smarati Nityashaha. Anyone who remembers me Nitya without deviation, for him, process of bhakti is Sulabha, and then he can attain me. Then 14th, 15th verse, Krishna says, Mam upetya punarjanma dukhalaya ashashvatam. That once you come there, you will not want to come back to this material world, which is like dukhalaya and ashashvata. So the world is dukhalaya and ashashvatam is temporary. But further Krishna says that this is not, I'm not talking about only bhuloka, but entire 14 planetary system, this rule apply, that it is not a, it is temporary. Some of them will have less dukkha, or some of them will have more dukkha, but it is a place of misery and it is temporary. It is not false, but it is temporary. So Krishna says in 16th verse that abrahma bhunar loka punaravartino arjuna mam upetya tu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. That if you surrender to me, O kaunteya, then punarjanma na vidyate. So for escaping from the punarjanma or the cycle of birth, you have to surrender to me. And then if you want to escape punarjanma, then where you want to go, that he explains in the 20th and 21st verse. In the 21st verse, Krishna explains again, this same term comes that yad gatvayam prapyam na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. That comes in the 21st verse. But there Krishna is explaining that the place that is referred to is a place which is belonging to me. I This is my dham. This is and then Krishna explains more on about that dham in this particular verse. That what are the speciality of this dham, and we will see the purport. That the will Prabhupada has written beautiful purport for this section of Bhagavad Gita, and each of these purports are classic purports, and there's nothing more to be seen and heard without this beyond this purport. There's nothing more for us to talk about. Actually, it's so beautiful. Those all these purports are. So the translation is that supreme abode of mind is not illuminated by sun or moon. Uh, yeah, we've done this. That who reach it never returns to this material world. So the similar theme, we looked at that theme as well, where Krishna has spoken similarly in the previous section of 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Now, Krishna's Param Dham is being explained. The spiritual world, Prabhupada writes in the purport that the spiritual world, the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, which is known as Krishna Loka or Goloka Vrindavan, is described here. So Prabhupada gives introduction that what is this exactly Krishna is speaking about. Now Goloka Vrindavan is different than Vaikuntha Loka. Vaikuntha Loka, he is the topmost in the planetary system, the topmost is Goloka Vrindavan, and all other planets come below the Goloka Vrindavan. So we'll not go into that topic. That itself is a big topic for discussion, Goloka chart. But this is only for information. Krishna resides in Goloka Vrindavan, which is the highest of the in the entire Goloka chart, highest planet in the entire Goloka chart. In the spiritual sky, there is no need of sunshine, moonshine, fire, or electricity because all the planets are self-illuminous. Now, whereas in contrast, our planet um, is called planet of darkness, because without sun there is no light on this planet. This planet would have experienced full darkness, and it would have probably become unfit for survival of even human species, because without sun then there would have been no water cycle, would not have got triggered. The electricity is also nothing but a recycled sunlight. It's a recycled sunlight. The fire, the source of fire has to be there. So why so all of these things, Krishna says, are absent in my planet. Why? Because my planet is self-awareness. Everything in my planet is special. It's not that sun, moon, and fire doesn't exist in spiritual world. Sun is required when he will come, when pastime require it to be sunny. Moon will come when Krishna wants to dance, and then the full he wants to dance, the full moon will come. There's no need for moon to go through certain phases as what we experience in the material world. The fire, whenever Krishna wants to have fire, fire is there. And so everything, all these things exist. It's all these things exist to help and to support a pastime that is happening at that particular place with those set of devotees in the spiritual world. But otherwise, per se, they are not required. They're not. It's not dependent. This planet is not dependent on sun. If sun does not rise, what will we do? It doesn't have to worry about all that, because there's light. Whenever they want it to be dark, whenever the pastimes, night pastimes have to happen, the sun goes away and moon comes. But but it is flexible. Everything is dynamic there. It's not cyclical. Now we are forced to experience nights and days and all the season changes because they are where this is rule bound. It can happen much against our wish. But in the spiritual world, everything will happen with as per Krishna's wish, and or as per the wish of his devotees who want to serve Krishna in a particular mood. So that is a beautiful difference that Prabhupada is elaborating about the spiritual world and the material world. In contrast to material world, now we have only one planet in this universe, the sun, which is self-luminous. But all the planets in the spiritual sky are self-luminous. Prabhupada is contrasting this knowledge with the material world as well immediately, so that we see the difference. But as soon as he reaches the spiritual sky by cutting through the false perverted tree of the material world, he becomes liberated. And then there is no chance of his coming back. Now, why Prabhupada says that a soul once after attaining liberation will not want to come back to the material world? Any guesses why Prabhupada is saying that there is no chance of his coming back here? Any guess, quick guess why Prabhupada is saying this?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, because there we will be able to serve Krishna, and there will be no limit for our service, and we'll feel very happy and content.
Yeah, you can serve Krishna in this world also. And also you can serve him limitlessly. Why? One or two quick answers.
Is it because he has attained Goloka, Prabhuji? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Since we are actually desiring to attain Krishna Prem or attain the service engagement in the devotional service of Krishna, and there we get it directly, and that too Satatam. And there are no chances of a deviation, because our mood and our actions are totally in sync. And when these are totally in sync, and which is the desire of soul eternally, then it won't be wanting to come back again to the miserable world. And as a
Yes. Sorry, just one request
seen
from
that
somebody.
Dukhalya Shashvatam.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Dukhala Mashashvatam, yes. So this is a point you can elaborate a little bit more. So the question is why Prabhupada is saying there is no chance of soul coming back to this material world.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
I
Krishna.
think, Prabhuji, once the soul attains the ultimate object of going back to Krishna feeds, I think he doesn't want to come because he has attained the ultimate object. So he doesn't want, the soul doesn't want to come back to where from, I mean, he has, soul has reached its ultimate destination. So that
Okay.
is my.
So that's the ultimate destination. That's the goal with which you had set up yourself. Chandraman Prabhu, yes. Last answer.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Yes.
we actually came from Krishna only. And whatever we are doing is because of some misdeeds or whatever we have done to have our own life. And when we understand this and go back there, there is nothing to experience. I mean, you have got your final experience.
Yeah.
From the source, you are going back.
Yes, that's a correct. Yeah, that's one, one view that having come from Krishna, because we had, so it's become an anti-climax. When we were in spiritual world, we thought we will become happy by coming to this material world. We wanted happiness independently of Krishna. That's why we ended up coming. We were sent into the material world, and having experienced the problems in the material world, having experienced this material world per se, there is nothing more to to explore in this world. That not by I don't have to wait for iPhone 100 to be launched and then I will become happy. I know that even if iPhone 1000 I purchase, I'll still be unhappy. So this false concept of happiness which this world promised me, I have already experienced that fault of mine. And having understood that fault and having been deprived of all my enjoyments in this material world, or whatever enjoyments happiness I'm getting is very flickering, which is not really satisfying my heart, satisfying my soul. Now I have to develop a desire to go back to my original place where my happiness was unlimited, where my service to Krishna was unlimited, where I did not have had envy. I was not envious of Krishna for because of his position. And so I want to now go back, having got my bad experience in this material world. I want to now go back. Originally, when we started from spiritual world, we had looked at probably this planet with a hope that I'll get better facility here, I'll get more happiness here. But having experience for millions of lifetime, that it has proven to be a false hope. That Asha Pash or Ashavad has ended now. Now that's that's why we are now cultivating a desire to actually go back and be happy with Krishna's association. So having experienced this, when we go back, हम बोलेंगे बहुत गलती की, अब नहीं जाना. That's how we will. That's why Prabhupada is very confidently saying that now you will not want to come back, because now again as a soul, once you will attain a spiritual body, which we will see in some of the subsequent verses, you will have the memory of your experiences in the material world, and then you will not want to be going back. You will not want to go back. Prabhupada writes further very beautifully that one should be captivated by this information. One should be captivated by this information. Why so many children from India are leaving for America for doing MS? Very few, maybe if 100 children go to America for doing some study, hardly 5 or 10 might be coming back. And that too could be because of some family pressure or not willingly. Willingly, how many people actually come back once they get a degree in America? They get a job immediately, and being in, they are bright students, so they start making progress. There, they apply for green card, they get green card, they purchase home, they purchase car, they get married. There's so much Indian community there. I hope they go to ISKCON also there sometimes, but a lot of ISKCON temples have Indian visitors. Or predominantly the Indian community visiting those temples often. So, so the point is, there is something about America, or there is something about Western world which captivate a student's mind while he's performing his study here. And with this captivation, he cultivates a desire to go there, and then he find out what he can do to go there. So he find out if he's an engineer, he can go there for say post graduation studies. If he's a doctor, then he can go there and do this and then can become settled down there. If he's an accountant, how he can go there. If he's a lawyer, what he has to do to be able to go there. And so he's captivated by information about how comfortable, how whatever the life in the Western world is, that captivates mind of people, and that's why they develop a desire to go there. And then when they go there, they don't want to come back. Similarly, Prabhupada saying we should be captivated by this information about spiritual world. This captivation will trigger a desire to transfer himself to that eternal world and extricate himself from this false reflection of reality. For one who is too much attached to this material world, it is very difficult to cut that attachment. Now, Prabhupada is saying that why we struggle to cut down on the attachment to this material world. But if we can, and what is the solution for that? So solution is to take the process of Krishna consciousness. There is a chance for gradually becoming detached. Today morning, I was listening to this, Japa session of kids where Mataji told a beautiful story of a small girl. She wanted a necklace and her mother gives her a false necklace or some dummy necklace, which is very sasta, which was probably very cheap. But her father wanted to give her something. Her father saw that, and then he used to tell story to his daughter every night, and he used to tell that first thing he used to tell is that can you give me that necklace, whatever that. Now that necklace was the only thing that girl had demanded, and it was a very prized possession of hers. So initially for few days she said no, that I don't want to give up my necklace. And then every night father used to ask that for that necklace. He used to say no, but then he used to tell her some story, and then he used to uh, make her to sleep and then go again. Next day he would come, and the first thing he would ask is, can you give me that necklace? She would say, no Papa, this is my so dear to me. And this happened for some time, and then one day father as usual goes and asks this girl that can you please give me this necklace. And the girl girl is already crying. She has made up her mind that every day my father is coming and asking for this necklace, I need to give him. And willingly on her own, she brings out that necklace. Now it's a fake necklace. She doesn't understand that but whatever it was very dear to her. And then father takes that back and then gives her a original necklace, the beautiful original necklace. And then she becomes again very happy. So like this, Krishna is also waiting for us to give up our attachment to whatever we are doing in this material world. We are trying to find out happiness using our senses. By seeing eyes, we want to see things more and more and more, and we think we'll become happy. With tongue, we want to taste more and more cuisines, and then we think we'll become happy. But we want to touch soft and comfortable objects. We have so many desirable objects whom we want to touch and experience pleasure, and so on and so forth. So we have so much plans to do all that. And nothing, and Krishna is waiting. Krishna is saying, like this father in the story, that give up this. There are better things to be given to you, but unless you give up this, how can I give you those better things? So Prabhupada is saying, take to the process of Krishna consciousness. It will gradually, you can become detached. It's a reciprocal. Even Krishna consciousness is reciprocal. With the amount of faith which you practice, you can get the benefit in the same proportion. The larger, the greater the faith, or the larger the faith, the more the benefit that one can experience in Krishna consciousness. If faith is very weak or fickle, then the benefits also comes in that small quantity. So one has to associate himself with the devotees, how to perform bhakti, how to be Krishna conscious. You have to be with devotees, associate himself with devotees who are in Krishna consciousness, who are practicing Krishna consciousness themselves with their senior devotees, and those senior devotees are taking association from their senior devotees. So this goes on until Krishna. पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च पति. So all the Vaishnavas, they are all, this is their hobby, this is they consider this to be their duty, that that to uplift everyone, each and they want to give Krishna consciousness to everyone, they want to give Krishna to everyone, and this is what they are in charge of, and this is Krishna's mission. They consider, Vaishnavas consider this to be their mission too. So Prabhupada says that's why you should associate with devotees, and devotees can give you Krishna. And the way you accept Krishna, the Krishna reciprocates in that way. That way, in the same proportion, you can progress in Krishna consciousness. In this way, he can cut off the attachment to this material world. Prabhupada makes another important, significant point in the next section, that by dressing, so the one cannot become detached from the attraction of the material world simply by dressing himself in saffron cloth. Now he must become detached to the devotional, he must become attached to the devotional service of the Lord. So if one may dress up like in saffron cloth, and everybody will think he's a sannyasi, but so it's not external, it's internal. This detachment and attachment, they are all subject matter of internal emotion, internal. It's a cultivation of heart, it's a position of heart. If our heart is attached to Krishna, it will automatically feel detachment from other worldly activities. But if our heart is attached to sense enjoyment, we will have lesser attraction for Krishna and devotional service. So this change has to happen. It's a change of heart. It's not external change that I wear a external dress will help. When I wear a tilak, I wear dhoti kurta, and I go and walk on the street, I can't do certain things which otherwise I could have done, and nobody would have felt awkward, or it would not have raised any eyebrows. But and so to that extent, dress help, because when I dress in a particular way and go out in the society, I need to conduct myself in one particular method by fashion. I can't do many other things which other people can be doing. So to that extent, dress help, but it's not only external. It's not to be done on an internal level. One has to, it's a disposition of heart that is important. That one has to get attached to devotional service. One has to get attached to Krishna, so that it can become detached from the material world. Otherwise, externally, in the 7th verse, Krishna says that mithyachara, that one becomes a mithyachari, vimudhatma, and vimudhatva, that idiot person is a mithyachari. So Krishna, he says that don't become that. Rather, rather, so that was explained while explaining karma yoga, that should I perform activity or should I renounce. So but the point is, it's not external, it's a lot to do with internal disposition of heart. This attachment and detachments are matter of hearts. It's not matter of how you externally dress and behave in the society. But while internally you might be contemplating on the sense objects, then it's not correct. That's not going to help much. So therefore, one should take it very seriously, that devotional service as described in the 12th chapter is the only way to get out of this false representation of the real tree. So there is a real tree, and then there is a representation of that real tree, and we are currently captivated by that representation and trying to find out various ways and means in which we can get some small pieces of happiness in this representation or reflection. Prabhupada says, forget that. Take to the process of devotional service in association of devotees. Develop attraction for Krishna. Get attached to Krishna, and So the byproduct of this attachment is detachment from the worldly activities. You don't have to cultivate those separately. The word paramam mama are very important here. Actually, every nook and corner is property of Krishna, but supreme world, spiritual world is paramam, which is full of six opulences. Further, Krishna is going to, chant, sing one of the most frequently quoted verse, one of the most important verses in this entire Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna is saying that Mamaiv Ansho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha Manashasthani Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Karshati. That, and this is multiple parts, and we will look at this in a little bit more detail, and we just don't want to rush through this verse, this extremely important verse, and tells us a lot of things. That mama ansha, my ansha, my fragmented parts, that Prabhupada translate ansha as it fragmental parts is what is, that's how Prabhupada translate this ansha. And mama ansha is my ansha, my, it's Krishna claim ourselves to be his, mine, to be his. So who are these ansha? Jiva loke, all the living entities. Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha. Now, Jiva Bhutaha Sanatana, so Mamevamsha Jiva Loke is one part, which says that all the Jiva Loke or all the living entities are parts, fragmental parts of Krishna, because Krishna is speaking this. Second part in this sentence is Jiva Bhutaha Sanatanaha. Now, Sanatana means eternal. Now, these Jiva Bhutas are eternally parts of Krishna. Now, independently also they are parts. They are not, they were never one with Krishna. This is the point, simple point that is being driven here. The second sentence says that Mana Shasthani Indriyani, that we know that Indriyas are five karmendriyas that we have, that is eyes, ears, uh, skin, that's touch, and speech, and so on and so forth. So these five karmendriyas, and Krishna says there is a gyanendriya, sixth indriya, that is mana. And in the mana, mind has been grouped along with the indriyas at many places. And the 10th chapter also Krishna says that amongst the indriyas I am mind. So mind has always been treated like one of the indriya, panchendriya, but here mana shasthani indriyani. Krishna is very specifically saying that mana shasthani, including mind, these six indriyas, with the help of these six indriyas, what jivas are doing, these jivas are doing prakriti sthani karshati. In this material world, they are karshati. The karshati is translated as struggling very hard with six senses, which includes the mind. Let's look at a purport, a beautiful purport of this verse. Prabhupada writes that in this verse, the identity of the living being is very clearly given. The living entity is the fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord eternally. It is not that he assumes individuality in his conditional life, and in his liberated state becomes one with Supreme Lord. So this is refutal of Mayavad, or refutal of philosophy, where we say that we will merge with the Supreme. Krishna says wo chance nahi hai. Natvevaaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipaha na chaivam na
न
natvevaaham
चैवं न भविष्यामः
na
सर्वे वयम्
bhavishyamaha sarve vayamata. Yeah, na chaivam na bhavishyamaha. So Krishna says that all these kings, then this is 12th verse in the second chapter, where Krishna said that all these kings whom you see, they existed in past, they existing today, and in bhavishya also. Never will there be a time when this will cease to exist. Now he's reiterating this theme now, saying that all these fragmental parts are sanatana part. They're part, and they will be part forever, and they were always in the hits. So this forever extends to the history, to the past, present, and future. It covers all periods. And this is what Prabhupada is going to highlight the point in the subsequent section of this purport. So he's eternally fragmented. It is clearly said, Sanatanaha. And then Prabhupada talks about Vishnu Tattva. Now it talks about two types of expansions of Lord. So there are personal expansions, like examples are like Lord Ram, Narsimhadev, or Vishnu Murti. They are all predominant deities in the Vaikuntha Loka planets. Now these are Vishnu Tattva, or they are personal expansions of Lord. But Jivas are different. Jivas are a lot different than this. Jivas are separated expansions. Now separated expansions are eternally servitors. Separated expansions are eternal servitors of Krishna. The personal expansions, and again Prabhupada compares the two, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are always present. Similarly, the separated expansions of living entities have their own identities as well. Now, in the in the Goloka chart, we see that there is Ayodhya. There is a Golok Vrindavan, which is the topmost planet, but there is Ayodhya also. There is Vaikuntha also, where Lord Vishnu resides, and there is a Jagannath Puri also. There is a Mayapur Dham also. There is Dwarka Dham also, and then there are other planetary systems where there is a place where Narsimhadev resides eternally. Now these are all dhams, or these are all planets where all these lordships resides eternally, and that therefore, so they are all parts and parcel of, they're all Vishnu tattvas, they're all Krishna tattvas, they're all expansions of personal expansions of Krishna. So they are but separated parts, which are these jivalokas, are also present permanently along with Krishna. They were never one with Krishna. They will never become one with Krishna. So they will continue to maintain their individual identities. And like that, that's why we say that each individual has a separate relationship with Krishna, and finding out that relationship is the ultimate goal. And when you find out that relationship, you go back to spiritual world and serve Krishna in that relationship. So this is mentioned right in the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, and this is called Swarupa. You come to know about your Swarupa Siddhi. And Prabhupada says that once you know who you are in the spiritual world, then you are ready to go to spiritual world. Those who may not discover this, they will be taken to the spiritual world, and there it will be revealed to them. So don't have to worry about what is our Swarupa, and we have not been able to find out our Swarupa. But that's how it is. That's how it is. So each individual soul has a independent relationship with Krishna. It has a personal relationship with Krishna, and Krishna reciprocate with this soul in that way. As fragmental parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the living entities also have fragmental portions of his qualities, of which independence is one. Now, Prabhupada says how we mess things up. So that is will explain now. So every living entity as an individual soul has his personal individuality and a minute form of independence. By misuse of that independence, now Krishna has a swatantra, or Krishna has supreme independence, and we being part and parcel of him, we also have our minute independence. Now it's not that we don't have independence. That's why Bhagavad Gita instructions are not called commandments. Commandments are followed by others without any choice. But Krishna has retained that choice with Arjuna. Even after speaking entire Bhagavad Gita, towards the end of 18th chapter, Krishna says that Vimbrishena Asheshena Yatha Ichhasi Tatha Kuru. Very clearly, Krishna says, as you desire, so you do, O son of Kuru. Now, so these are not commandments. Now, this is not a command is given to army on the battlefield. They said fight means fight, simply, no questions asked. But Krishna is giving a choice to Arjuna, saying that Yatha Ichhasi Tatha Kuru. You will never hear a army commander in charge of his soldiers saying that Yatha Ichhasi Tatha do as you soldiers, you do yatha ichha, as you desire, so you may do. If you want to fight, fight. If you don't want to fight, go home. It doesn't work like this. So Bhagavad Gita also retain that independence with the jivas, and therefore the shastra is designed, shastric knowledge is given so that people can learn and then willingly come back to Krishna, not forcibly taken back to Krishna. That's completely, that you cannot win love by force. Love is attracted, love is won over by by it's a matter of heart end of the day. And there's no, heart has to willingly surrender. When it willingly surrenders, the relationship becomes beautiful. So Prabhupada says, and therefore the Bhagavad Gita instructions are not commandments, they are instructions. You're supposed to follow those instructions, develop proper, cultivate proper mood, develop attraction for Krishna, and then come back to Krishna. So Prabhupada says that by misuse of that independence, one becomes a conditioned soul, and by proper use of independence, he is always liberated. So it's a two-way sword, two-edged sword. So by using it properly, one can get liberated, but by improper use, one will get bound. The living entities, not only human beings and the cats and dogs, but even the greater controllers of the material world, Brahma, Lord Shiva, even Vishnu, all are parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord. The word karshati, or Prabhupada translating further, that struggling or grappling hard, is very significant. We've already seen how we are karshati, how we are hoping for happiness, and what we get is unhappiness, or the opposite that which we get in the material world. And the same thing point is reiterated by Krishna here. That is very significant. The conditioned soul is bound up as though shackled by iron chains. He is bound up by the false ego, and the mind is the chief agent which is driving him in this material existence. When and Prabhupada talks about mind, the moment mind comes, Prabhupada talks about goodness, passion, and ignorance. And if it acts in goodness, it can experience something better. Activities are good. And if it is in passion, the activities are troublesome. And when one's mind is in ignorance, he traveled to the lower species of life. Then it is stated that when a living entity gives up material embodiment and enters into the spiritual world, he revives his spiritual body, and in the spiritual body he can see Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. He can hear and speak to him face to face, and he can understand the Supreme Personality as he is. So there are activities to be done in the spiritual world. Spiritual world is not a place where you go and sit idle, do nothing. No, you have a spiritual body. You can see, you can talk, you can perform all activities, and you have to actually perform those activities. We heard in the previous verse that purusham prapadya, when one has to go and surrender, and surrender, part of surrender is service. So one has to serve Krishna. No, but it is not like slavery, that we become a slave of Krishna in the spiritual world. It is, even Gopal friends, his cowherd boyfriends, are serving Krishna. When they play with Krishna, they sometimes defeat Krishna in the game. They punish Krishna in the game, but this is their service, because Krishna wants to enjoy um, playful activities, and he needs Gopa friend to enjoy with him. And so all those Gopa friends are actually rendering service to him. All the gopis, the elderly gopis who make butter, then so that Krishna can come with his friends and perform his butter stealing pastimes from their homes. Now they want Krishna to come, and they make butter for him, to thinking of him coming and stealing their butter, so that they can go to his home and complain to his mother. Now all that is desired by devotees. All this is part of their service. So even in the spiritual world, these leelas go on, and for that, one is given a spiritual form, a spiritual body, which has all the sensory perceptions with it. So it's not a phase where we do nothing. It's a place where we are super active. and we are active for Krishna, for service, in service of Krishna. So from Smriti also it is understood that Vasanti Yatra Purusha Sarve Vaikuntha Murtaya. In the spiritual planet, everyone lives in bodies feature like that of Supreme Personality of Godhead. As far as bodily construction is concerned, there is no difference between the part and the parcel of the living entities and the expansions of Vishnumurti. In other words, at liberation, the living entity gets a spiritual body by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word mamay ansho, fragmental parts and parcel of the Supreme Lord are also very significant. So Prabhupada has written a long purport and very beautiful purport. You can probably read that later in detail purport. I've taken some experts from that purport, not the entire purport. But few paras I have taken, but the entire purport is very beautifully written. So the fragmental portion of the Supreme Lord is not like some material broken part. Now we have already seen that in the second chapter, Krishna has said that achedyo or nainam chindanti shastrani. So the soul cannot be cut into process. So it's pieces, and it's not that it's a big portion. We slice it, dice it, and make it into small particle, and then club everything and make it into the larger piece. It does not work like that. The soul, each individual soul is unique, and that's why its individual soul has its own personality, its own individuality, its own characteristics, its own likes and dislikes. It has its own ability in which it can serve Krishna personally. So this is a personality per se. One personality cannot be cut. You can't cut it and make it into two personalities, because this personality is there forever. Now, so, and that's what Krishna had already explained in the second chapter. Thus, this fragment is not materially conceived. Now it's Prabhupada warn us that we may be speaking but giving some examples in as part of our discussion, but it cannot be conceived materially. It is not like matter which can be cut into pieces and joined together again. That conception is not applicable here, because the Sanskrit word sanatana is used in the fragmental portions are also eternal. The next verse is where the theme goes a little bit deeper, that this why, if these are there, why there is a spiritual world which is so beautiful, which is so captivating, and then why at all we are here, and how, why at all we are here? Because we are here for karshati. We are struggling very hard, grappling very hard for gaining some little happiness in this material world. And what happens to us in this process, that is explained in the 8th and 9th and 10th verse. So shariram yadavapnoti yachyat yacyatyu utkram matishwaraha gruhe gruhi tvai tani sayanti vayur gandhan nivashayat. Now how this whole process works? Now this is, this is happening all around us all the time, and we just don't conceive, we don't perceive this, we don't understand this, uh, but this is how it happens. We'll see the translation and then we'll come back to the Sanskrit. The living entity in the material world carries his different conceptions of life from one body to another, as the air carries aromas. Does he take one kind of body and again quit it to take another kind of body? Vayur gandhan ivashyati. Ivashayat. Vayur gandhan ivashayat. So just like how the example is given that of air carrying aroma or fragrance. Now air may go to a beautiful flower garden, and from there can take a can carry a fragrance into it and go somewhere else. So we if a wind is blowing from this direction and there is garden in between nearby, then the wind I'm going to get, air that I will experience can be fragrant air. Similarly, if there is a garbage house nearby and air is passing through that garbage house, it will carry a bad smell. It will carry bad smell with it. So So this is how we carry conceptions, different conceptions of life into the next body. Now let's look at the purport. So here the living entity is described as Ishvara, the controller of his own body. If he likes, he can change his body to a higher grade, and if he like, he can move to a lower class. That minute independence is there. The change his body undergoes depends upon him. Very significant information. Now, he's Ishvara because why? Because just like Krishna, he also has independence. Though it is minute, though it is of a very small jurisdiction, is very small of his independence, of his authority, but he indeed has that independence. And we can perceive that we have seen already that if we leave body in the mode of goodness, you can go higher up into the hierarchy of 84 lakh species. If you leave your body in the mode of passion, then you stay at your similar level. And if you leave your body in mode of ignorance, you go downwards in the hierarchy of 84 lakh species. And if you are completely animalistic tendencies, then you may actually go descended to the animal species as well. You can actually become cat and dog based on all what all you have attachments developed. At the time of death, the consciousness he has created will carry him on to the next type of body. Very clear. This is something what is happening all around us all the time. You open your WhatsApp and or some social media, and we see people die every now and then. Every now and then, people are dying all around us. But this one conception is something which is not properly understood by people. People say that everybody has to die, so I have to die. I will also die. People at times behave as if they don't have to die, and they don't perceive death as an opportunity for perfecting their life. They don't have that knowledge. So Prabhupada reveals here that if you use your independence properly, the death is an event which can perfect your life. You can utilize this life and at the moment of death you can appear as if you have studied for the whole year. Then death is that moment of examination. You appear properly for the examination and get out of this college completely permanently, rather than failing and again coming back to the college, repeating your years again and again and not learning the lessons. Now, this is the whole point. The world is created for us to, it's an opportunity for us to get out. It's not an opportunity for us to stay here forever. A college can be IIT Bombay or IIM Kolkata is a facility where student can come, stay, learn, and get out. Objective is not to help people stay there permanently forever. Nobody wants you to people. You should come with a desire to go out, not to make a home, make your college your permanent home till the end of your life. Similarly, using our independence, at the moment of death, we should utilize, you should actually clear the examination of life by remembering Krishna. And in order to do that, you should cultivate remembrance of Krishna throughout one's life. And this is proper use of independence. जो freedom है हमारे पास, उसका ये proper use है. Otherwise, it will be termed as misuse, because then you will have ability to go lower into the lower species as well by misuse of that independence. Now, this is to be understood and remembered all the time. And this forgetfulness exactly is what is the reason that brings us or keep us in this material world forever almost. But devotees and Krishna can help us remember this. And therefore, we should value the association of devotees who will keep reminding us of this objective. If he has made his consciousness like that of a cat or dog, he is sure to change to a cat or dog's body. What a significant statement. Where else such information is available? People are dying day and day out, day in, day out. And people are being born also. Every now and then we get a picture of a baby boy, baby girl born, and who is welcomed with great fun and fair. And when people leave their bodies, there are some prayer meetings arranged for them, and some rituals performed for them as well. And though that culture is also decreasing day by day, we see a lot of people don't do anything. They get rid of bodies of their relatives as if they dispose of broken chair, don't have much emotion, much understanding of what it is. So that also we see, but at least some culture is still left where we see few things happening. But in between, this knowledge is completely missing. That what is the root cause of this bodily change? This new baby has come to our home, has from where it has come, and those people who are leaving our home or our families, where are they going? And what they have done for better destination during their, how they have utilized their life so that they can get better destination in the after quitting this body. And Prabhupada makes it very clear that if you cultivate consciousness like that of a dog or a cat, you will become one. Have no doubt about it. A very powerful statement. So really, be this should be really steering emotions inside us, or thoughts inside us, that this is what we are supposed to do in the human form of life. This is where we should be focused upon, and everything else we should give. This is what we should give priority to, and everything else becomes secondary. Once I have this done properly, other things I can look at and as a secondary activities. Because Parikshit Maharaj knew that he will die after 7 days. None of us have that benefit, you know. None of us know when we will die and what kind of so we can't make Krishna consciousness a long-term plan. It has to become urgent and immediate plan. Every day chanting has to become urgent and immediate. The moment we wake up, we should be thankful to Krishna for showing us another sunrise, and immediately should take up to the chanting, because this could be our last sunrise. We never know. And so that's the whole point of Krishna consciousness being urgent and important both. If he has fixed his consciousness on godly qualities, he will change into the form of a demigod. And if he is in Krishna consciousness, he will be transferred to Krishna Loka in the spiritual world and will associate with Krishna. It is a false claim that after annihilation of this body, everything is finished. Bollywood would want us to believe this statement, that after Zindagi na milegi dobara, whatever. So after finishing this body, everything is finished. And that's why all the marketing managers will want you to believe in this, because so that you can keep buying, chasing their products after product and purchasing. For buying those products, you will earn more. For earning more, you will work harder, and then in the process, you will forget Krishna. This is their plan. And what should be your plan? Your plan should be to keep Krishna at the center, prioritize Krishna consciousness, and keep everything secondary. The world is not going to fall down if you are unable to buy iPhone 14 when it gets launched, or if it is already launched. Even if nothing is going to happen, if you don't get that next promotion, the world will not sink into ocean. So keep your Krishna consciousness at the center. Keep focus on Krishna consciousness. Everything else is secondary. So Prabhupada says that if it is a false claim that after annihilation of this body, everything is finished. And this is what world is preaching today. The Bollywood is preaching this to us. The advertisers are preaching this to us. The many religions are preaching this into today. The Christianity and the Islam preaches this. So therefore, one has to be very careful with what understanding that we get from other sources. So therefore our sources of information, sources of knowledge also has to be very specific and very carefully chosen. We shouldn't try and seek knowledge from anything, anywhere and everywhere, because not everything can come to us, especially in the WhatsApp or internet, by dressed as a knowledge, but it can give us misinformation, and then all our effort, all our progress done in the spiritual progress can be halted. If it can't be destroyed, but it can definitely be halted, and when you get distracted. So Prabhupada says further, the individual soul is transmigrating from one body to another, and his present body and present activities are the background for his next body. Very clear. I mean, it can't be clearer than this. And therefore, why should we be careful in terms of activities in the present world? This is the reason. This is the slide. The previous slide is the slide for which we should all be um, resolve to be Krishna conscious first and then everything else later. One gets a different body according to karma, and he has to quit this body in due course. So everybody one has to quit in due course. It is stated here that the subtle body which carries the conception of the next body develops another body in the next life. This process of transmigrating from one body to another body and struggling while in the body is called karshati, or struggle for existence. So the entire process is karshati, that struggle for existence. The changing body is a painful event for soul, because from soul's point of view, it's a foreign concept. So soul struggle, and while in body, inside a body during the lifespan, one struggle to gain some happiness, one gains some happy moments, because those are also very difficult to come by. Another beautiful verse which we have seen many times: Kshotram chakshuhu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam eva cha adhishthaya manaschayam vishayan upasevate. Shrotram, chakshu. Shrotram are the ears, the chakshu are the eyes, sparshanam cha, rasanam ghranam eva cha. So these are the sensory objects, that the five sensory objects that we all have. These mentioned here. The living entity, thus taking another gross body, obtains a certain type of ear, eye, tongue, nose, and sense of touch, which one grouped about the mind, and he does enjoy a particular set of sense objects. So just like how we have palm and all the fingers, 5 fingers around the palm, this portion is like our mind, and these are all 5 karmendriya through which we receive different sensory inputs. So from eyes we see some visuals, from ears we hear some sound, from nose we get some smell, fragrance, or from touch we get some sensation, from tongue we get some taste, and all these conceptions are projected on the screen of mind. Our mind is keep receiving these inputs all the time, and it focuses on that input which it finds interesting. With, so it looks like this. Our mind is like this, and taking inputs from these 5 uh, preliminary five monitors, and then these are projected, and then he concentrate on that which he finds it very interesting, and that's why he put his focus upon. So in other words, Prabhupada writes in the purport that, in other words, if the living entity adulterates his consciousness with the qualities of cats and dogs, in his next life he get a cat or a dog body and enjoy. Consciousness is originally pure like water, but if we mix water with certain color, it changes. Similarly, consciousness is pure, for the spirit soul is pure, but consciousness is changed according to the association of the material qualities. Real consciousness is Krishna consciousness. When therefore one is situated in Krishna consciousness, he is in the pure life. But if his consciousness is adulterated by some type of material mentality, in the next life he gets a corresponding body. He does not necessarily get a human body again. He can get the body of a cat, a dog, hog, demigod, or one of many other forms of there are 84 lakh species. Last verse for today. Utkramanta sthitam vapi bhunjanam va gunanvitam vimudha na nanu pashyanti jnana chakshushaha. So we spoke about this, that this is happening all around us. Every now and then, people, we may see people living bodies, or we may seeing new arrivals in our families, somebody taking birth, somebody giving up body, and all of us are in between. But this position is not perceived properly. This situation is not understood properly. So one of the question that Yudhishthir Maharaj was asked by Yaksha, that what is the most surprising thing in this world, and Maharaj says that every now and then somebody is giving up his body, but every person who who actually thinks that he cannot die, it was his bad luck so that he died, but he will never die. Everyone is conducting one's life as if they will never die. And that's the most, even if they see death all around them, in all form and shape, it's not that only old people die, it's young people die, children die, and all kind of people of all ages are dying all the time all around us. But we think and act and behave as if we will never die. Utkramanta is giving up one's body. So now this is the biggest surprise. Yudhishthir Maharaj says that he has seen, and this was a right answer. So a foolish cannot understand how a living entity can quit his body, and nor can they understand so what sort of body that he enjoy under the spell of mode of nature. So one has to get the eyes of knowledge, chakshusha jnana, pashyanti jnana chakshusha, pashyanti jnana chakshusha. He can see whose eyes are tinted by knowledge. Knowledge is jnana. The word jnana chakshushaha is very significant. Without knowledge, one cannot understand how living entity live his present body, nor what form of body he is going to take in the next life, nor even why he is living in a particular type of body. Now all the three. So jnana chakshu is like seeing with knowledge. For example, we have graph in the in the stock market. Many people are fond of stock market, so they open some screens, some websites, and they see many graphs appear on that website, and the graphs have getting populated, have different you know directions in which that line moves. Some are flat, some are going upwards, some are coming downwards, and some have various ups and downs. And so particular graph, people see that and they interpret it. But but for a layman, they will say some lines are drawn in a particular way. But for a person who understand market, he will say that this stock has growing, this stock is falling down, and this stock is remaining flat. Now, seeing the same image, the two people are giving two different interpretation. Why? Because this person is seeing this with the eyes of knowledge. He's not just seeing by eyes, but eyes of knowledge. A doctor looking at X-ray um, is different, or reading or looking at a blood report of somebody is different than I looking at that report, because I may not understand anything out of it. I may look at that black image of X-ray, even if I try to see through the light, I'll probably see something here, something there. I'll not make much sense, but doctor can see, oh, there is a serious infection in this particular part of the body, or chest congestion is there, or lungs are whatever. Doctor can see not only with eyes, but by the eyes of knowledge. So therefore he can derive deeper, greater meanings out of the same seeing. Whereas when we see, we don't see it with eyes of knowledge. It doesn't make sense to us. Now, similarly, people, those who see at these events with the eyes of knowledge, see them differently. So when you as a devotee should see a person giving up his body, you see this event with the eyes of knowledge. You have to now, you have to prepare that person for giving up his body. You have to help that person remember Krishna, because you have the knowledge. You have, this is the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, that one should leave one's body remembering Krishna alone. So if you happen to come across somebody who is about to give up his body, you should chant in front of that person. You should talk about Krishna with that person. You should show him picture of Krishna. You should uh, offer him prasad. You should help him remember Krishna in some way or other. Should give him water with tulasi or Ganga Jal, which is nothing but water coming from the feet of Lord Krishna. So give him remembrance of Krishna, because then if he, whatever be his actions in the previous, in the entire lifespan, if he can remember Krishna somehow or the other at the end of his life, even if he may not be able to get fully delivered, at least he can, his devotional life can get started. And if he's lived life as a devotee, then definitely he can go back to Krishna. So this is seeing event with the eyes of knowledge. What other people who don't have knowledge will do, they will, at the most, they will be nice with the people. They will take him to the doctor. They will probably try and give some medicine. They'll try and save the body. It's like saving the coat. When the person is drowning in the water, it's trying to save the coat. Now, it's not that coat is not important, but the person who is dying, is drowning, is also important. So the help to the soul is more important at times than helping the body. We exist at three level. We exist at the level of our physical body, gross body, at mental level, mental emotional level, and then at the spiritual level. We are at the core spirit soul. But at this present moment, we are threesome. We can't be separated and dealt with independently. We can't say that I'll only care about the soul, I'll ignore the body. No, we have to take care of the whole person as a wholesome package. So this is where this is how we should see events of life and respond to those properly, rather than, the world doesn't have this knowledge today. So world will look at the same event differently, and we don't have to just we don't have to follow the world. We don't, because we, so the doctor also think that this black image has got nothing in it. Just because I can't read it, patient can't read it, doctor also ignores it, then that will be failing in his duty. He has to interpret that image of x-ray and derive meaning out of it and give patient the treatment. Similarly, it is devotee's duty to help other person in every possible way, because they understand, they have the jnana chakshu. So this requires a great amount of knowledge understood from Bhagavad Gita and similar literatures heard from a bona fide spiritual master. So how to get one, how can one obtain Jnana Chakshu is explained here. One who is trained to perceive all these things is fortunate. So all of us are fortunate because we have heard from spiritual authorities. We have opportunities to read from Bhagavad Gita. We can hear from Bhagavatam. So all of us are fortunate. All of us have some Jnana Chakshu. Now it's up to us to cultivate it further, take it to the next level, develop more, rather than, and we are all surrounded by those people who don't have the Jnana Chakshu. So what should one do then? Become part of the big group, or cultivate more Jnana Chakshu and make others also help others cultivate their Jnana Chakshus as well. So we should do the second thing. We should help, we should grow ourselves in the knowledge, spiritual knowledge, and we should help others become spiritual also. That is what Prabhupada will say, explain that devotees do. Every living entity is quitting his body under certain circumstances. He is living under certain circumstances, and he is enjoying under certain circumstances, under the spell of material nature. As a result, he is suffering different kinds of happiness and distress under the illusion of sense enjoyment. Persons who are everlastingly fooled by lust and desire lose all power to understand their change of body and their stay in the particular body. They cannot comprehend it. A similar verse is there, 3.36, where Krishna says that how lust is the a nitya vairini of a person who is trying to cultivate knowledge. So kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samadbhava mahashano mahapapam vidyena mehi vidyena miha vairinam. That is the biggest enemy, is the lust. And Prabhupada brings out the same point here, that everlastingly fooled. They are fooled. Why? Because by lust and desire. Both these things are like, by putting more ghee into fire, the fire is never going to get subsided. So more one indulge into these two activities, fulfilling their lusty desires and the desires in general other than lust of material things, of material opulences, of desire to control. So these two things will never be satisfied, and one is everlastingly fooled. Prabhupada used a beautiful word, everlastingly fooled. One is fooled sometimes, it's like fooling some people sometimes and some people all time. But this is like fooling, getting fooled every time. And that is permanent, as if, so very beautiful word, everlastingly fooled by lust and desire. Because they think that one who is chasing these two things may be thinking that ye karne ke baad I will be happy. I'll not get caught up by another event. I'll give up lust after this. Let me satisfy this last time, uske baad main chhod dunga. Maybe this is the last car I may purchase, uske baad I will stop buying cars. I'll focus on Krishna consciousness. Maybe this is the last promotion let me get, I will stop chasing money after this. Let me concentrate on Krishna consciousness. Now this way people may be everlastingly fooled by lust and desire, but they will never be satisfied, and a person will never be able to give that up completely unless one comes into the knowledge and association of devotees. They get that knowledge from association of devotees. They can remind a person to, and at times with strict instructions, force person to give up this foolish tendency. Different treatment can be required for different people, different folks, different strokes. They cannot comprehend it. So as long as they are chasing those dreams, asha pash, they cannot understand this. The Jnana Chakshus they cannot get. So those who have developed spiritual knowledge, however, can see that the spirit is different from the body and changing its body and enjoying in different way. The spirit is the one who is changing body. Spirit is the one who is changing desires, who is having desires for enjoyment. And spirit is the one who has to be saved, not the body has to be saved. Now the person who has developed spiritual knowledge can see things and understand things in that way. A person in such knowledge can understand how the conditioned living entity is suffering in this material existence. Therefore, those who are highly developed in Krishna consciousness try their best to give this knowledge to the people in general, for their conditional life is very much troublesome. So this is where I said that once you are in knowledge, one, you have to make your position formidable. You have to strengthen your knowledge. It's not that knowledge is like a flashlight. There's a lightning happen in the sky at night, and that lightning also gives some light, but that's not a very steady light. So our knowledge, spiritual knowledge, shouldn't be like a lightning. It should be like a tube light, or it should be like a moonlight or a sunlight, so that it remains steady We need to cultivate that, and that doesn't happen automatically. With our sadhana and our sadhana, our humility, our service attitude, and our actual rendering of service, we cultivate this mood. And once you are situated in that mood, it's natural, you see things differently around you. And but people are not having this knowledge, so their responses to the same event are completely different. Now in your mood, you can see the reality as it is, and you can help people also come to this side of the knowledge as well. You can distribute knowledge, you can encourage people to start cultivating this same knowledge, so that they can be better situated. They, rather than getting agitated when such events happen, a person with knowledge can know things what happens. Person who has never seen operation being performed suddenly see that so suddenly hear it from the doctor that I will cut your stomach, will get agitated, that how can you hurt me, you are a doctor, you're supposed to cure me, how you're trying to hurt me by opening my stomach. But he who understand will know that by performing this surgery, doctor is actually curing you, not hurting you. But there will be initially there will be some blood that will come out, but it's a part of the process of getting cured, getting healed later. So but one doesn't know this, may get agitated कि ये कैसे हो रहा है, ऐसे कैसे हो रहा है. So similarly, when we have eyes of knowledge, we should help others also get those eyes of knowledge to the best of our ability, and to the best extent that we can. If that is not possible, at least help them see things in their perspective, their current proper reality. Rather than that will probably reduce their agitation of what's happened to the person, especially in the event of death. This can be prominently seen. uh, they should come out of it and be Krishna conscious, liberate themselves to transfer to the spiritual world. We will summarize. Material world we live in is a reflection, and all our efforts of enjoyment and controlling are sure to be defeated. Hence, the suffering is inevitable. So, in one sentence, we've captured all of 13th chapter and 14th chapter. Why we will suffer here. We must free ourselves from this material world of suffering by the weapon of detachment and by developing attachment to Krishna. How detachment? So detachment is easily developed by getting attached to Krishna. By detachment is easily developed by getting attached to Krishna. By getting attached to Krishna, by engaging in serving Krishna, one will automatically have lesser time for indulgence in material world, and that way one will develop a higher taste. One will get a high when you get a higher taste from Krishna conscious activities, one is ready to easily give up our lower activities. So one should get then fixed in Krishna consciousness. One should hold on to the rope of Krishna consciousness very tightly, not let it leave. That because, and we will do that if we value it. We will value it if we know it, and we have experienced it both. Knowing is enough, but not enough. Experiencing it is enough. So when those who are chanting in the morning, they are experiencing some bliss, without which you will not want to chant, get up every day morning and chant. That's how that's how we are actually. And one should understand why they are motivated to get up and chant every day morning, is because they are getting some taste out of it. And those who are doing it for 1 month, 6 months, 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, they know that the taste exists and that taste is growing. That's why they are sustaining in bhakti. It's not by commandment it can be done. Bhakti is a matter of heart. It can only be done when your heart is with you. It can't. Initially you may do it because somebody is telling you, but eventually you will give it up. And that's what we see often happens with people. They come, they perform bhakti very enthusiastically for some time, and then they give it up because they are unable to put in the continuous effort that are required in the initial period. But once you develop a taste, you will do it on your own. Every day morning you will want to get up and chant. You will not want to do anything else. So those can't liberate. What happens to them? um, they will be bound and they will be forced into transmigrate from one body to another. This process is very painful, and the word used is karshati, which is translated as grappling very hard. And so there's another example. Grappling is for grappling is explaining grappling is given is that of a person uh, uh, whose head is put under water in water. So once your nose is under water, you are struggling for oxygen, and then you start struggling, and just when you're about to give up, you're taken out, you're forced out of your water, and then you're in the air, you're able to breathe in again, and then again you're forced into the water. So this is when you're inside water, you're struggling very hard, you're extremely uncomfortable, you're not getting oxygen. But when you come up, and for a couple of moments you are outside water, you are able to breathe normally, and then you feel very happy, and then again you are put into the water. Now this is Durga Devi is doing with us all the time. um, and that's where that is how grappling is explained, grappling very hard. And sometimes we get some happiness, somebody gets to stay out of water for more time, he feels more fortunate or more happy than others, but eventually you are put into the water and again you start struggling. So this is the reality of the world. It's not a pessimistic view, worldview. It's not a negative worldview taken of the world. It's the reality. If a doctor, when while he interprets a report, say that this patient has a problem, it's not his negative outlook because of which he's talking negatively. It's the reality he's stating. And when patient understand the reality, patient is ready to patient can then willingly cooperate with the doctor to take treatment and get cured. And that is what is expected. When if devotees speak that this world is dukkhalayam ashashvatam, or it's a place of misery, upside down tree of material existence where everything is ulta, you want happiness, you get sadness. It's not a negative outlook towards the world. It's just statement of fact. And what one should then do is to ask, how can I get out of this position? How can I go back to a place where there is a permanent happiness? And then you should hear about that from scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, scriptures like Bhagavatam, that what happens in the material world, spiritual world, and then get captivated by that information and then cultivate desire to go there. So this process is very painful and can continue perpetually until by mercy of devotees or Lord himself one gets proper knowledge and act on it. So getting proper knowledge is not sufficient. Acting on it is also sufficient. So those who are not chanting sincerely, no, it's for them that they have to act also sincerely on the knowledge. Otherwise, knowledge is of no use. Act on it to help soul get back home, back to Godhead. uh, this is for our own self, and eventually once you are able to help yourself, you can help others also. Get this knowledge and act on the knowledge and help the other souls also to go back to Godhead. So the facility for chanting and hearing, chanting in the morning, hearing in the afternoon. I'll distribute the slides. You can make note of these slides and join these sessions every day. We'll take some questions and answers, and then we will end today's session. So there is Chitra Mataji, soul has done everything to attain the Goloka. Okay, that's a previous comment. Once soul attains, Swapnil Prabhuji's questions, once the soul attains ultimate improvision in the realization of Krishna, then it is like game over and the soul is jubilant and it's part of the eternity, forever world. So the soul has no desire to come back to the material world and start over again. Yes, Roger. Soul is jubilant. Yes, jubilant, because soul has attained its goal, his goal, and but soul is in the service, engage in service of Krishna. There, as I said, it's not there are activities to be performed in the spiritual world also. Chandramohanji, thank you so much, Raji. Wonderful session. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. If I don't see any questions in the chat box, are there any questions online we can ask, or we will end today's session. We will have session. We'll continue to have sessions. I'll be speaking with Kashyap Prabhuji, and hopefully he should be able to give sessions over next couple of weekends when we will be in Vrindavan Yatra. But please do continue attending these sessions and take benefit. Whoever is not coming to Vrindavan, please continue attend these sessions and take benefit of the association of devotees. Whoever will come, who will speak Krishna Katha, and he will speak it from the Srila Prabhupada book. So it will be definitely worth listening. And Kashyap Kapila Prabhu is a wonderful devotee. Been serving Lord in Mayapur. He's been a very good speaker himself. So it will be a great opportunity for you all to hear from him as well. So I request those who are not coming to Vrindavan, kindly continue attending these sessions over next couple of Sundays, and we will resume from wherever Kashyap Prabhuji or somebody else, whoever will come in his place, they may complete whatever is left over. We will take it forward from there. So with this, we'll end today's session. Thank you everyone for joining today, and look forward to those who are coming to Vrindavan. I look forward to meet you in Vrindavan, and look forward to explore Lord Krishna's Dham. It's a spiritual world. It's a part of spiritual world, not part of material world. So Maharaj says that Krishna has personally walked in Vrindavan, all over Vrindavan, and therefore that Vrindavan is so special. So just by once washing his feet, the Ganga is washing sins of people for such an eternity, because it fell on the feet of Lord's feet once, and from then onwards it is flowing continuously till date, and it is washing people's sins. So imagine how much and the same feet were wandering in the forests of Vrindavan. Krishna wandered in the forests of Vrindavan without chappals. So everybody, so entire land, entire all 12 forests of Vrindavans are they have received his received his footmarks. There are footmarks all over Vrindavan. He walked in Vrindavan, all over the Vrindavan with his bare feet. So how much more merciful that land is, how much more merciful that land is, where he has walked without his with his bare feet. So it's extremely special place. It's an extremely devotional place, and we should all hope to go there and cultivate Krishna Prem, cultivate desire for, get captivated by spiritual world. Again, the word Prabhupada's use is more appropriate, that you should get captivated and develop a desire to go back to Krishna. That's the objective with which we should go to Vrindavan. And those who are not coming, you should take up such opportunities whenever yatras are announced. Announce them well in advance. One should endeavor to come for those yatras for our own purification and our own progress in spiritual life. So I hope you all can take advantage next time. But but stay Krishna conscious, do attend all daily sessions, and we will meet after our yatra. We'll resume these sessions after our yatra. So till then, Hare Krishna to everyone. Stay safe, stay Krishna conscious. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hey Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Dandavat
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Really
Prabhuji.
would request
Hare
you to
Krishna,
sign up
Prabhuji.
for it because I missed the slide later half.
Okay, okay.
Otherwise, it was a nectarian, but especially that Yad Gadvarna Nivartante and the next verse, Mamayancho Jivalopa. It was just so wonderful. The explanation was just beautiful. After that, I lost my net connectivity and
Okay, okay. No, I got your message, saw your message, but that's fine, Troji.
thank you very much for that, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, any particular video release about Vrindavan that we can, very authenticate Vrindavan video which is recommended before we, board and go to Vrindavan? Is there any such advice from you right now?
Yeah, you can read from Srimad Bhagavatam. Akrur, when Akrur is preparing himself to go to Vrindavan, so there is a section in Bhagavatam that comes how he's preparing himself for Vrindavan Yatra. So when he goes to Vrindavan to pick up Krishna Balram and bring them to Mathura, so that section is recommended to be read before we go to Vrindavan. So I'll try and look up for that section. I'll send that section in Word document, or if possible, I'll send a link so that you can just go to the Veda base and read that part. But don't rely on videos. There will be some videos made, I'm sure, about Vrindavan, but Vrindavan, Brajavasis look at Vrindavan in a completely different way. We can't really copy them. And we look at Vrindavan more from a devotional point of view. So, so that's so as I said, our visit to Vrindavan is to get captivated by Krishna's activities and develop a desire for us to go back to Krishna. So this is our objective. We don't want to, go to Vrindavan and gossip about Krishna's pastimes. We don't want to hear them from authentic devotees. So our mood is different, and so be careful when you search for videos. Rather rely more on Bhagavatam. I'll share the link of Bhagavatam to the section where Akrura is preparing for going to Vrindavan. That's safer, I would say. But if you can, if I can find some authentic video of Vrindavan Yatra, I can definitely share that with you.
Thank
Okay,
you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.